To pray, there's no angels where I go, only pieces that are broken, scattered dreams across the floor. I'm home.
Alrighty, hello everybody. This is Kirusho here. Now, before I do begin, after I record this, I'm gonna try and finish the rest of Season 3 of Tokyo Ghoul. And I may be able to finish this series sooner than you think. Then again, it will also hold the title as the new longest series on my channel. Now, with that being said, let us begin. Whenever we last left off, we had Midoriya. He went to Coast City after learning about a promise he made. And he felt it. He felt life. Making his way to Coast City and eventually running into his soul, finding it here. After the rest of the Justice League, or what remains of it, tried to take him down and ambush him, they tried to use magic against him, using Dr. Fate's helmet and trying to take him down, or subdue him. Not working and eventually leading to him remerging with his soul, along with the ultraviolet power. And Midori was heading straight for the League of Shadows, so that he can take on his revenge. Now, with that being said, Deku and Jiro, they do at least head that way. Midoriya asking Jiro if she's going to be fine. She's still a bit injured, isn't she? Her just saying that she'll be fine. In fact, she did at least try and talk with Lex. He is still messing around with that giant suit. Then again, this thing right here, her just pointing back down towards the suit, saying that it will help her right now. It's essentially just a giant muscle suit, like that other thing, except it's powered by kryptonite. Alright. So, do you at least have a plan for what you're going to do in there? Yes, I do. I'm gonna try to get through everyone. But even then, thinking about it now, I see everything. What are you talking about? Well, there's a giant army sitting and just floating out in space, waiting for my call, waiting for my command. I do at least have an idea, although I'm not too sure if it's a good one. I could just directly overrun Ra's al Ghul, tear him apart in seemingly just seconds, before he can even understand what is going on, and kill him in an instant. But that's just it. I could do that. And Ra's al Ghul wouldn't even know what happened, barely being able to process his own death. So I want to make him pay. Make him fear for what he did. I'm not going to show him any remorse. That man lost his humanity hundreds of years ago. Now, Jiro, hearing Midoriya talk like this, would just tell him that that is okay. She's not too worried about the bad guy right now. They can take him down, then try to go back to their normal lives. Can't we? I don't know. We've tried going back before. It worked. Then again, I don't think they give a second chance after the second chance. Well, I mean, it can be easily explained I was kidnapped and you were brought back from the dead. Sure. But the only ones who would believe it are the ones that I haven't murdered, or who know I'm not the Batman. That information being out there is worse. Since it's basically, oh, that kid who got mind controlled before got mind controlled again. Except he took out the rest of the league. No one would understand it. I'm always just the victim of circumstance. Just like a hero. I guess I did want this life. Then again, ironically, it reminds me of what Two-Face once said. What do you mean? You either die a hero or live long to see yourself become the villain. I guess he was right. Now, Midoriya is floating directly over the island, and he's waiting. Just floating there, as he begins to at least bring up his hands. As soon as he does, the island's defenses immediately fire upon him, trying to blast him out of the air, trying to take him down, do anything against him. Midoriya basically just holding out his hands and blasting away at the missiles as they're launching at him, throwing up a shield and letting a few hit him, only for the fog to clear and Midoriya grabbing a warhead out of the air and slingshotting it back around straight back to the island, as it does actually blow up a small portion of it, somewhere around the beach, starting a fire. That will get plenty of people's attention. So Midoriya himself will just wait. Racial Ghoul will come out. Whenever he does, this will be whenever he just takes him down. He is always one to fight. He will lead the shadows and he will kill him. However, he'll do it as himself. Now, Midoriya would just begin to fly down towards the opening courtyard, directly in the center of this castle, if you can call it one, telling Racial Ghoul that this is over. Ah, so you're here, and with your, well, beloved no less. You made a mistake coming back here. I doubt that, Raish. Ah, I see you still don't understand. What did you get from this? That's a ring. It left you ages ago, so you finally found it. Good. Now, put this back on, and you can continue what you were doing. Yeah, change of plans. Midoriya just bring his hands up, taking off the rings, and sliding them into his pockets. He himself beginning to crack his knuckles, telling Racial Ghoul that they're going to have a bit of a competition. He is going to fight him. And then he is going to take him prisoner. He will not murder him. Ah, so you are weak. Not really. If I murder you, I win. Or you win. Doesn't matter. My revenge is not going to be swift and easy. I will bring it down on you, Raish. In fact, even if I do die, you're going to bring me back and try and do the whole same trick over and over again. It won't work. Your best option would be to just keep me dead. Ah, and why don't I just tell my ninja to take you all down right now? Please, Raish. Look at them. Midoriya just looking around, saying that he's personally been able to take each one of them on in hand-to-hand combat, even fighting a group of them before. Now I possess the knowledge of Batman. That knowledge of exactly what you're afraid of, isn't it? You're afraid that I'm better than you now. Racial Ghoul just raising an eyebrow. Midoriya just saying that whenever he took on the knowledge of Batman, that's what you wanted. A Batman who will kill for you. A Batman who would die for you. And lead your army. I cannot say that it was a bad idea. However, you did it on the wrong person. The wrong people. People? Yes. Sarah's alive. In fact, you kill me, she's gonna come here with a little specialized gift. Batman got it from his friends. Ironically, she'll kill you with it. Then all of you around me. Well, do you understand? Rachel Ghoul just dropping his armor and taking away his swords, unsheathing both of them, telling him that he is nothing but an insolent child. His experience cannot compare to his own. Of course. What are you going to do? Bladed combats? I thought you were a master, Raish. The old-fashioned way. So be it. Him just dropping the swords and bringing his hands up. All the members of the League of Assassins are just watching this. Their inhuman weapon, the monster, facing the demon head. This will be a fight that they cannot, well, pass up. Something that you need to see to believe. Now, with that being said, Midoriya, he would just rush forwards. Ra's al Ghul meeting him halfway, bringing his hand to him and blocking his punch. Going to jab his fingers into his ribcage. Midoriya just taking a step backwards and bringing his leg up. Going to smash it directly up into Ra's al Ghul's face. Him bringing his head backwards and dodging. The two going back and forth like this. Switching between multiple forms of martial arts. Trying to fight. Before Midoriya finally gets in the first actual swing of the battle. Being able to kick Ra's al Ghul directly across the face. Him stepping backwards and having blood come out of his mouth. Telling Midoriya that he is an insolent child. You little fool. You old psychopath. Now, the two would continue on. The battle eventually getting to the point where the two are actually being told that they're going to have to step this up. Now, Ra's al Ghul will just back away, picking up his swords and tossing one straight to Midoriya. Him catching out of the air as the two would just charge forwards, beginning a different form of battle now. The two swinging away at each other, and trying to fight. Now, that would be whenever they would just continue on. Ra's al Ghul trying to lead Midoriya somewhere. He's trying to lead him to the Lazarus Pit. In case something does happen, he can explain it away in one simple thing. He can jump into the Lazarus Pit if he needs to. The boy has the power to the detective. Along with that, what was it? The old power he has. Ra's al Ghul being able to lash away at and actually cut Midoriya's hand. Midoriya swinging it out right, following the blade's path. Being able to throw his sword and it being stuck into the wall. Ra's al Ghul bringing his hands upwards and going to slash down at Midoriya. Going to slash down into his chest. As Midoriya would just do one thing. With his ultraviolet power, he creates his own sword. As it shoots downwards and immediately just stabs into the ground, blocking Ra's al Ghul's hits. Midoriya just grabbing the other side of this energy and splitting it into two, telling Ra's that he should remember. He is a totem. That is what I call myself. Ra's al Ghul being annoyed. Now, Midoriya would just back up, and these simplified blades turning a bit more into daggers, and elongating. Ra's al Ghul just watching with surprise on his face. Midoriya just saying that he does have to remember. There is a reason why I was your best assassin. One of them anyway. You limited my creativity. But other parts of me were busy, getting stronger. Then again, I accept them now. I accept the darkest parts of my soul. Midoriya having a sinister grin form his face, and his eyes do begin to course with the purple power. And a transmission comes through on his ring, him hearing it. Midoriya, you need to hurry. The Justice League is on their way. Hawkman is about to be there in 2 seconds. All the time I need. Him just running forwards and blasting out a large, amount of shame. Rachel Gould ducking out of the way, as Midoriya would just do one thing. He does actually twist his hands downward and drop the blades, then seemingly fading as he does pull a sword straight out of his palm, made out of the power, and then just rush forward towards Rachel Gould, sliding and actually trying to slice into him, being able to actually slice into the side of his leg. Rachel Gould feeling pain, turning around and being able to kick Midoriya in the face. Midoriya just taking this chance to try and stab upwards. Hitting him in the shoulder as Rachel Gould is going to bring his hand downwards, jabbing Midoriya directly in his arm, hitting him in a little bit of the nerve clusters there, trying to aim for a vital weak point. Midoriya shielding them. Him just sticking back up and being able to try and stab Rachel Gould once again, and take him down. Him not caring about playing fair anymore. Rachel Gould trying to fight back with his own sword. Midoriya bringing his sword over her head and going to swing it straight downwards. As soon as he does that, he smashes straight through Rachel Gould's swords. Then bringing his hand outwards and grabbing the piece of metal, stabbing it directly into his neck. Rachel Gould going to grab at it, and trying to at least use the rest of the blade to fight against Midoriya. Him going to jab directly in Midoriya's chest as he just basically smack it away. And then throw his hand out to Rachel Gould, wrapping him up in chains and tossing him singly against the wall, smashing his body around and trying to break things. Eventually Rachel Gould being smashed directly into the ceiling and stabbed in his guts. Midoriya pulling him off the spike and smashing him back into the ground, and holding him in place. Rachel Gould trying to get toward the Lazarus Pit, holding his hand out toward it, and trying to at least claw away at the ground, trying to get to it. Midoriya just saying that he is nothing more than a simple junkie. Your thirst for power, your thirst for knowledge, all of it is because of a few chemicals. Midoriya just walking over and bending down, saying that then again he can understand a little bit, as he just puts his hand directly into the water, saying that these same chemicals brought me back to life, pulling his hand out and seeing that it is healed. Interesting. He himself grabbing grabbing a handful of the water and rubbing it onto his face, as it does actually heal him, and him thinking he doesn't feel angry. So, turning around looking at Rachel Gould, it's only when you die does it work, isn't it? As grin beginning to form on his face, as Midoriya was going to say that he's got the perfect idea for him. Hawkman bursting through the ceiling and through the roof, along with Hawkgirl, along with Superboy. He was trying to take down Jiro, but then she kinda, he can't face her. Magon is currently trying to take her on. As we'll cut to outside, Liz Suitlex has protects against telepathic attacks, it shielding her mind. Magon trying to at least reason with Jiro, telling her that she doesn't need to follow Midoriya. What does she even see in that guy? He's gone crazy. He's not the man you used to know. No. In fact, he's different, I know that. Then again, he is still the same. What do you mean? He's a psychopath. He's here to kill everyone. No, he's not. He's just here for racial Ghul. Look around you. Pointing down to the island, the fire is spreading and beginning to attack property. Saying that Racial Ghul's a villain, yes, but you don't have to kill him. Kill these people. What he's doing is wrong. You know that. Her just staring at Magan, and then posing a question. How would she feel if Superboy died against Doomsday? How would you feel then? We lost Superman. The age of heroes is dead. Can't you see that? Magan just saying that she doesn't understand it, but she guess she has just no other option. Flying forwards and going to attack Jiro. Jiro throwing out her hand and blasting her with his kryptonite ray. Magan morphing her body and being able to change around it. Being able to open up gaps that the hole just shoots straight through. The two fighting. Magan smashing her to the ground, and eventually taking her back down. Now, with that, let's get back over to Midoriya. Hawkman is trying to attack him and take him down. Basically just trying to slash away at him with a sword and trying to at least understand why he's doing this. Yelling and screaming at him like a feral child. Trying to thrust forwards and being able to hit him in the gut or stab him in the chest. As he goes on saying that he doesn't understand. Throwing the sword out forwards and actually throwing it upwards. Trying to slash Midoriya across his face. Trying to cut into one of his eyes. Midoriya being able to dodge it and actually block it. As he did create a construct around his arm, grabbing the blade out of the air. Trying to fight against it. And it is currently cutting into the top portion of his cheek, close by to where his nose is. A little lower and he might become Nick Fury. It's beginning to get dangerously close to his skull, instead of just cutting into the skin. As he actually does do one thing, bringing his hand up to the other side of the blade and cutting it down, then slashing blood across Hawkman's face. Him backing up to try and get this out of his eyes. Midoriya taking this chance to get up, and put his rings back on. All four of them. Throwing up his hand with the Ultraviolet Lantern, ring, and then blasting away at him, hitting him in the gut as he sends him flying backwards. Midoriya just saying that that's not going to work. Superboy coming in, along with Superman. The two talking. Midoriya just doing one thing, grabbing Superboy out of the air by his throat, and then grabbing the other Superman by his own. Telling the two that they need to quit. They've been through this song and dance before. Don't you understand? As Hawkgirl does come in, saying that they understand it, yes, but just because he's done it before doesn't mean anything. Her trying to hit him directly in the gut, a construct forming without him having to move his hands. Her hitting into it as her mace just stops. Midoriya then shooting out spikes and being able to stab Hawkgirl in her arm. Her basically just backing up and dropping her mace. Midoriya then just smashing the two Supermen together. Smashing their skulls together as he throws Superboy away. Deeper into the cave. While for Superman, he creates gauntlets. Smashing him across his face over and over again, just punching into him. Him trying to use his heat vision, but Midoriya just covers his face. As the rays and beams begin to just shoot off in every single direction around them. Ra's al Ghul screaming, "No, no, no! Be careful, you insolent child!" him screaming that he's going to destroy the pit. Superboy trying to at least bring his leg up and kick away at Midoriya. Midoriya just bringing his arm up and grabbing it, as he tells him that that wasn't going to work. Besides, what did you think was going to happen? As he created a construct of a heavy anvil, and then smashing it directly downwards into Superboy's or Superman's kneecap. Him actually beginning to scream out. That is hurting quite a lot. Midoriya just doing one thing, reaching into his utility belt and stabbing him in the back of the leg with a piece of kryptonite, as Superman begins to get kryptonite poisoning. Midoriya encasing him in a bubble, and then throwing him upwards as high as he can up into the air, wanting to see what will happen as he goes smashing into the roof. Feeling this pain as he begins just to puke up blood, before he smashes downwards, sending the kryptonite deeper and deeper into his leg, piercing straight into the bone. Him beginning to let out another scream, as Jiro comes bashing through one of the walls of the cave, along with Magon, the two fighting. Now, with that being said, this would take Midoriya's focus off of his battle, turning to theirs and running forwards, flying straight through the air and grabbing Magon, and then smashing her to the ground, and Superboy comes back in, shoulder checking him and actually being able to smash into him, grabbing into him, wrapping around him, going to actually try and grab at his fingers or break those things around his hand. That's the source of his power. Midoriya just telling the Kryptonian to get off of him, as he just does one thing. He begins to create a construct covering his skin, and then it begins to turn green, then yellow, then purple, and then mixing into pink. As the construct arm would come out, grabbing Superboy by the back of his neck and pulling him over, smashing him to the ground as Midoriya would just create two boxing gloves, smashing him across his face over and over and over again, telling him to just leave him alone. Magon, trying to at least look into his head again, trying to calm him down, telling him that he needs to stop this and revenge is not the best thing. Midoriya just looking at her, and then forcing his own thoughts into her head, thinking what he knows. He thinks about John, and he thinks about what he's done, everything he's experienced, back at the Lazarus pits. Her just seeing these memories. Very, very grim flickers of John being forced into the sun. And then the screaming and the feelings Midoriya had in the Lazarus pits, along with him in the X pits and even being a servant to Darkseid. And then being a puppet in his own body. Her falling to the ground screaming, basically just begging for it to stop, trying to plead for it to stop. She doesn't want this. She doesn't want any of it. You think I did? Throwing out a construct, smashing her directly across the face with it. Her falling onto the ground. Midoriya running over and going to check on Jiro, as she got back up. The suit is mainly destroyed, Midoriya getting her out of it, and asking her if she is going to be okay. She did get knocked around, yeah, but she should be fine. She's at least on her feet. Midoriya at least hugging her and saying that that's perfect, that's fine. Okay, listen, we're gonna take Ra's al Ghul and get out of here. After that, then things will just be simple, okay? This place is already unstable. Now, with that being said, Midoriya is paying attention to her a bit too much, as Hawkman did get back up, and he is currently at least behind Midoriya, as he actually just throws back his sword and throws it forward as much as he can, stabbing directly into Midoriya's back and impaling him. As he also does get Jiro directly into her gut, piercing straight through her. As soon as she does feel this, she then remembers the sensation, rage, and passion. Both of these feelings. What she felt when Midoriya died. As Midoriya just began to cough up blood, and so would she. Her then just calling for her rings. As they do come out of her pockets, and slide onto her finger. Her then looking back at Hawkman with rage, throwing her hand over Midoriya's shoulder as she blasts him point blank, destroying his skull and his face, his bones, everything. One thing actually happening. Everything behind him is also burnt to ash, as the two would just fall to the ground. And Midoriya would at least look at her, telling her that this isn't how it ends. No, 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 no. This isn't how we go. At least trying to pull the sword out. Whenever Jiro does actually wince in pain and tell him to stop that, it's not going to work. Midoriya just saying that, you're right, but I do have at least one idea. As he creates a construct, and pulls the sword out in one go. The two just hunching over each other, and actually just holding onto each other. Things are getting bad, and right now it's getting a lot worse. Is this really how we go? No, it isn't. Midoriya just pulling her closer to him, saying that everything is going to be fine. He knows a way that they can get out of this. What is it? Do you trust me? With my life. As Midoriya pulls her into a kiss, before just pushing himself to the side. Both of these two falling directly into the Lazarus pits. Emerging seconds later. Midoriya just gasping for air as he does take a deep breath. And so does Jiro. Midoriya's white streak in his hair returning. Not even the hair dye could hide it this time. It is just far too visible. Along with Jiro herself. Midoriya turning back to her and going to hug her. Telling her that he's happy that at least works. Before he does feel something. And he's a bit more confused by it. As whenever he does push Jiro away to look back at her, his eyes would widen. The pit healed both of them. Fully. She has your earphone jacks. Jiro, you... Midoriya just thinking as the pit begins to collapse around them. Midoriya looking in a direction. Seeing Ra's al Ghul on the ground. Staring directly at them. Midoriya beginning to throw up constructs. Trying to stabilize the foundation. The pit is the one thing Ra's al Ghul loves. And he's not going to let this place destroy it. As whenever he does at least create constructs and stabilize it, Ra's al Ghul is begging Midoriya to save it. Save the pit and keep it safe. Please, do not let it be destroyed. I do not want to. Of course you don't, Raish. You don't want to die. In fact, I'll tell you one thing. That pit just saved my life again. I called you stupid for relying on it. But I just used it. So, how would I do one thing? Midoriya having a sinister smile form on his face. Bringing up his other hand as his ring does create a construct of a giant scoop. Being big enough to just go through the hole in the roof. And it's stabbing into the ground and picking up the earth around it. As the scoop begins to float up into the air, Ra's al Ghul's eyes widening at what he is witnessing. Midoriya telling Ra's al Ghul that he won't let the pit be destroyed, but he won't let him have it. In fact, my original plan was to murder you, take on the League of Assassins, and then see what happens. But I have a better idea. You love this pit more than your own daughter, more than your own grandson. So, I am taking it. as Midoriya and Jiro go blasting upwards into the air and head into space. Rachel was just watching what's happening. As let us cut over to Superman. Superman is pulling the piece of kryptonite out of his leg and trying to at least keep it safe, as he chucks it as far away from him and Superboy as he can. That being whenever he would try and get back up, crawling directly into sunlight as he himself begins to heal. Now, with that being said, while Midoriya and Joe are in space, they're at least thinking, they need to take this somewhere. So where should it go? I don't know, but, well, we could put it on Mars. No, I don't think that would work. Rajagu would know if we put it somewhere that is close by. He would try to reach it. Well, then what do you... Jiro's eyes widening, looking over Midoriya's shoulder, looking at what is going on. Something is there. Midoriya confused, as he himself looks behind him, being in complete horror at what he sees. There's a giant monster, unsure as to what it is, but it's wrapping around the sun. It's eating it. What is that thing? I don't know. Looking at his ring and telling it to analyze that. What is it? That is, well, unknown information. File may be corrupted. Known alias, Sun Eater. What? Oh no. Shit. Midoriya trying to think, as he watches what happens next. The red ball of fire, or the orange star they call their sun, begins to get darker and begins to take more of a whiter shade before turning pitch black as it gets swallowed. His eye is in complete horror. Now, with that being said, I do believe that will be a perfect time to leave this part off here. And I do hope you guys enjoyed. And for those of you who do not understand what is happening, read the comics. That's all I can say. Now, I will catch you guys in the next part.